Check, we're good. Sweet.
How did I do that?
All right. I'll call to order the College Township Council regular meeting for Thursday, March 19th. Prior to starting, I do want to announce that we had an executive session prior to council meeting tonight to discuss a personnel matter. So would all those who are able now please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to know, we have the public open discussion. If any members of the public that are here in the room or online would like to address council, we ask that you do that with concise comments. We have people in the room, and we also have members of the public online. Echo. Are there any members of the public who would like to address council? Okay. Seeing none, at this time, are there any members of council who would like to add a new agenda item at this time, and that is an item to be de minimis in nature? None. Okay. We have no special presentations this evening, and we have no plans for review this evening. So our next item up is reports, and we would typically start with the manager's report, but it appears we've lost our manager.
He went to get his glasses.
All right, then let's move on to COG, Regional, County, and Liaison reports. We have quite a few right now, and then we'll move back to the manager. For the COG meetings, I can report from Public Safety that we canceled the March Public Safety meeting. We had no action items, and we're still waiting for some municipal comments on the winter sports weekend. So we'll be meeting again in April. Next up would be Finance. Rich, was there a Finance Committee?
There was, but I thought I had reported on that at the last meeting.
I wasn't sure. I was looking at the date, so. That was the day of the last council meeting, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, all
So
right, we're good.
I brought it.
All right. There was also, I believe, an ad hoc Parks and Library Committee meeting. Either this afternoon or yesterday. Is that your meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was. It was yesterday. I'm just pulling up the agenda here. But
you.
it was, there was only 3 things on the agenda. This was our first meeting since we formed the committee, so we had to have election of officers, basically a reorg meeting. I was elected chair, and forget who was elected. Margaret Gray was elected vice chair, and she was a representative from the school library board. So the committee has 2 elected officials, and a Parks board member, a library board member, Parks executive director, a library executive director, and the COG director. We had then 2 more agenda items. It was really an informational meeting intended to get all of us up to speed on the foundations of both organizations, how they got created, how they're governed, what documents are relevant to their governance and their day-to-day operation, and it was really good. I think we were all more familiar with the structure of parks, but the library, my gosh, there's multiple levels of oversight and, shall we say, requirements that the library has to follow. It was very interesting. So the COG director and I will get together to develop the agenda for next month, and it will focus primarily on the financial aspects as it relates to municipal contributions. Now that we understand how these entities operate and what their funding sources are, most of the concern amongst the elected officials on, say, abandoning elected official participation in the governance of those was for financial reasons, because unlike other authorities, much of their operating budget comes from local municipal shares. So what we need to figure out is there enough oversight already in the COG committees, finance in particular? Is there already enough? And if there isn't, where should elected official oversight be inserted? And if there is, then maybe we don't need any. But that's why we're going to focus on the municipal contributions and how they relate to the overall operating expenses and capital expenditures of both entities at the next meeting. So that was it, no action items.
Great, thank you. Were there any other COG meetings that I did not catch? I don't think so. College Township IDA.
Yes. So that was yesterday, and there were two main things I wanted to communicate to council that happened. One was they went over the draft agreement for the new contract for Carrie's assistant, and how that will be paid for and all the details. And then the other was that they voted to contribute $10,000 to the Fly State College Fund, and there was a presentation by a representative from that organization, and I learned a lot about that endeavor, so that was super helpful, and very exciting that we might be getting some more flights to State College. That's the goal. So
Thank you. We had CCMPO.
We haven't met since our last council meeting.
Were there any other, you sent some?
I sent that out because we met
Okay.
right before our last council
Okay.
meeting, and I gave a verbal report, so what
But
I
you
sent
didn't
out
write.
was simply the written report
Got it.
that followed.
Okay, and then we had the Spring Creek Watershed Commission. We also have that as a topic, an agenda item tonight under new business. So is there anything outside of what we'll discuss at new business that you'd like to report on?
yeah, just a couple things. So hi, Kevin. Kevin's here. We talked about the State of the Watershed event, which will be postponed until probably June. And then we talked about the Watershed Cleanup Day, which is April 18th, and they're still looking for people to sign up to participate and also take on some leadership roles there. And then we'll talk about the Rockview letter later. And there were two educational topics. One from Bella Breger, the executive director of the Acres Project, which is the Pennsylvania Office of Vocational Rehabilitation, My Work program, which is a 6 to 8 week summer work experience for high school neurodivergent students. And I know that I had already seen a little bit about this program through when I was on the Parks Authority and the COG. There were some students who work with the parks. So that was interesting, but they do other things as well. And I actually brought their flyer, so I can pass it along if you want to see it. And then the second one was What Makes a Healthy Stream? How Do We Improve Them? By Jacob Smith from Trout Unlimited. And learned a lot about what everything that's involved in a healthy river, and how if you have healthy trout, you have a healthy environment. So in the water. So it was very educational and helpful to learn about what's going on in the watershed area.
Thank you.
May I ask a question? Yeah. If those that want to sign up for the watershed cleanup, where would they go to do so?
So that would be on the website.
It's organized through Clearwater Conservancy, so you can register with them online.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I think that's it on COG and Township reports. We have a manager's report, and we have a manager.
Yes, I don't know how I managed, but I left the reading glasses downstairs, but I am back. I don't have a lot to add here, but I did want to touch on our Path to Campus project. As you know, the last update I think that we gave had to do with the archaeological investigation that was needed to be undertaken. And our understanding is that all of that work has been done at this point, and preliminarily, things look good, but we will not know that for several weeks yet. There is still some cataloging and some testing to do, but at least preliminarily, it didn't appear as if our location of that path was going to interfere with any major sites or facilities. So I think it's good news, but stay tuned. We're still working in that. We're also working to verify and finalize what is going to be needed with the path location to maneuver around or revise the path relative to the stormwater facilities that are being installed as part of the on-campus Gray Star project for the housing project there at Hastings and University Drive. So we hope to have a few more details relative to that here shortly. The objective is still to bid that project sometime this year, I think. Late, oh yes, it would be late.
For 27 construction.
For 27 construction, correct, yes. The only other thing I really wanted to mention was the Kimmel continues to be active relative to the renovations here internally for the Township building. They were on site earlier this week. I think they took some measurements of the outside of the building, and they're also scheduled to be in town on Monday to meet with the ad hoc group to discuss some of the other details related to the interior renovation. So that's everything that I have, but if there are questions, happy to try to answer.
Any questions for the manager? Okay, thank you. Also included in reports tonight is a report from the Kathy Madison, who is our Center Region Parks and Recreation Authority. So that's also in the packet for review. Thank you for doing that, Kathy. Next up, we have the consent agenda. In the consent agenda, we have CA-1, the minutes from our regular March 5th, 2026 council meeting. CA2, correspondence. There is an email from Michael Grutzik dated March 6th, 2026 regarding his resignation from the College Township Water Authority. And CA2B, a letter from PennDOT dated March 6th, 2026 regarding the State College Area Connector Project. Under CA3, we have action item approvals. CA3A is Proclamation P-26-03, Problem Gambling Awareness Month. CA3B is Refuse and Recycling Rate Change Information. And CA3C is Project 26-01, Pavement Markings Bid. Would any members of council care to pull any items from the consent agenda tonight? I will pull CA3A, proclamation. Anything else?
I have a question. Should I ask it now or after we?
Sure.
No, I'm just curious because this is new to me. So correspondence, receipt, approval of, and it's in the consent agenda. Does that mean that the vote within the consent agenda is voting to approve that these
That we're accepting
pieces?
it, that we've accepted the correspondence. If you have questions about what's in the correspondence, you can ask to pull that item.
Yeah, I
and
knew
will
that.
come out, And then we'll pass the consent agenda with the
Right.
items left in the consent agenda, and then
Yeah, I
each
know
item
how
will
that
get
works,
pulled.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what does accept mean?
Simply
That it
we-
goes in the record or?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank
It's
you.
officially received by the township.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Did you want to pull any of those items?
Oh, no.
Okay, great. All right, so the only item that I would ask to be pulled is CA3A, the proclamation. So
I move to accept the remaining consent agenda items.
Second?
all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, proclamation P-26-03. I pulled this, I'd like to read the proclamation, and then that will give council an opportunity, if anyone would like to address the proclamation. This is a proclamation from College Township in Center County, Pennsylvania, P-26-03. A proclamation of the Township of College, Center County, recognizing March as Problem Gambling Awareness Month. Whereas problem gambling is a public health issue affecting individuals and families of all ages, races, genders, and backgrounds, and whereas problem gambling can have significant social, emotional, and financial impacts on individuals, families, and communities, and whereas problem gambling is a treatable and treatment is effective in minimizing harm to individuals, families, and society as a whole, and whereas numerous individuals, professionals, agencies, and organizations have dedicated their efforts to educating the public about problem gambling and the availability and effectiveness of treatment, and whereas the Township of College is the host community to a Category 4 mini casino, and whereas the Township of College has made clear its intentions to both monitor and mitigate within its power the negative social impacts that may come from the Category 4 mini casino, and whereas promoting awareness of problem gambling provides an opportunity to educate residents and public officials about the social and financial issues associated with problem gambling and the availability of prevention, treatment, and recovery services. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Council of the Township of College, Center County, Pennsylvania, hereby recognizes the month of March as Problem Gambling Awareness Month, and encourages residents to learn more about the signs of problem gambling and the availability of prevention, treatment, and recovery services. Be it further proclaimed that residents in need of assistance are encouraged to seek help through available resources, including the confidential helpline 1-800-GAMBLER. This is adopted well, I'll wait till we approve. At this time, I'd like to ask if any members of council would like to comment on the proclamation. If no one will, I will. And I would, this has been brought forward as the governor has passed a resolution recognizing March as Problem Gambling Awareness Month, and the council has over the last 2 years worked with a consultant to develop an impact study and look at the social as well as the social impacts as well as the economic and the infrastructure impacts. And we have made clear our intention to do what we can within our, as set within our power to mitigate that.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I think lost in all the effort that we've made through this whole process was the effort that we made to focus on the social issue. Very different than other areas preparing for this or investigating this, and I'm not sure that we get enough credit for that. Maybe we don't deserve that much, but we're certainly doing something different in that regard, in my opinion, far more proactive. Thank you.
And I just might add, as a healthcare provider, I see the impacts of compulsive disorders, and so we recognize that as a township. And so with that, I would accept a motion at this time, unless any members of the public would like to address or staff. Okay. Well, then with that, I would accept a motion to accept the proclamation.
Move to approve CA3A as presented.
Second?
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay. With that, we are on to old business, the solar power purchase agreement, termination agreement. Adam, you're going to...
I am. I'm going to lead you into this. Unfortunately, you do not have Mr. Bloom here, who has been representing the interests of both College Township as well as the College Township Water Authority in this endeavor over the last few years. But the memorandum that's in your packet was prepared by Mike, and I think it gives a good overview description of where we've been and where we're at now presently. And as was voted on a week or two ago by the 10 participating members. There was a vote of the representatives participating in the working group to formally abandon the project. With that comes a settlement agreement with the developer that we have been working with, Prospect 14. And Prospect 14 has agreed to provide a series of payments totaling $135,000. Those will be made and held in escrow by the State College Area School District, who has taken the lead on the administrative elements of the SPPA program to this point. And once all those funds have been received, there will be, in essence, a refund proportionately to our interest initially in the SPPA. So that is essentially the ask this evening of council is for any questions on the actual termination agreement and a motion to approve the termination agreement, which would then be signed and forwarded on to the school district.
Thank you. At this time, I'd ask Ms. Brandt, do you have any questions?
I don't, but I have a comment. So this project was near and dear to my heart. I was involved in this when it was just an idea. And I think that was in 2018. I mean, it's been years. This project, so many people, talented people, have put so much time and energy into making this happen. And it really looked like it was going to happen. And it looked like we were going to save carbon emissions from going out into the atmosphere. We were going to save money. All the entities that were participating were going to save money. And then even more money than we thought when we originally, started with the project. And, unfortunately, because of changes in incentives for the developer, it was financially a go, and it made it into not. And the whole time, all of us knew that it financially had to be better off than the alternative. And so once it became clear that it couldn't be because the developer could no longer offer the price that was in the contract, that's when everybody realized. But again, had that not happened, or had COVID not happened, because it got so delayed during COVID, because we couldn't see each other, that it could have been solidified before these changes were implemented. So I know that there's been a lot of misinformation about the project, and I guess I just want, being new on council, I wanted to tell everybody here that if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer. I was in every project management team meeting every Wednesday morning. I had to have other people drive my kids to school so I could do this. I can probably answer anything. And I can also assure everyone everything was transparent and on the up and up the entire time. So it's just very sad. It's very, very sad. And hopefully one day, the good part is that this was such a collaboration with so many entities that part was successful. The fact that it was a go and the contract was signed really is an amazing example of intergovernmental cooperation. And other entities in Pennsylvania, even beyond Pennsylvania, had reached out to the group because so much progress had been made on this really amazing collaboration. So that's possible. We know that now. And all of the work that is done in the COG probably had a lot to do with why this was able to happen. And hopefully in the future, something similar could occur one day once circumstances are a little bit different, because we know it can be done now. And that's the positive. So rather than just be sad, I'm going to focus on that and how much we learned from each other and the collaboration that went on. So anyway, we have to vote on this, but it's it's a bit of a tragedy.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you.
I couldn't agree more with everything that Gretchen said, and I just wanted to add my personal thanks for all the effort that you put in through this project on behalf of another entity, but as a College Township resident. But we also have someone who's not here tonight who put a lot of effort into that. So I want to thank him too. It's not Adam.
I was around in 2018. I just want to say.
Just teasing. So, but no, that's all.
Tracy? Well, in retrospect, right, have there been talks that this could be a potential thing moving forward? And if so, what does that look like? What does that entail? Like, I know it's dead in the water right now, but is there another entity where we can partner, having all the information that we have now, that we can partner with?
It's a great question.
Okay.
But I think that right now, it's not extremely palatable because so much work went into this, and I think that there's almost a period of mourning that needs to happen amongst all of the electeds and staff as well. And so I think we need to get through this mourning period, and then, like I said, we know that we can do it, right? Like our region, we can do it. We've proven that to ourselves. But until the circumstances are different than they are right now with the incentives for the developer, it cannot fiscally happen in a responsible way.
Yeah,
So-
I'm asking, is there a different developer? That's what I'm
Oh, no,
Right.
no, yeah.
Gotcha.
If I may, yeah, the incentives that Gretchen has referenced were federal incentives
Right,
for clean energy initiatives. And of course, the parameters of that have changed. And until that circumstance is different in some way, that once again makes this type of a project pencil, if you will, I don't think that there's going to be a great opportunity unless the state comes up with some kind of a program or there's some other viable mechanism that's within reach to attract developers to this particular type of business.
This is the problem because if there were another developer, then it would be a completely different scenario, and there's not, and there won't be because of everything Adam just said. Until circumstances are different, it will not be a profitable endeavor for a developer, so.
Yeah, a lot of hard work by a lot of people. I always hate to see that go to the wayside, but, I mean, I think it's gonna take some more thinking about how to get to that next level with the incentives going and stuff. There are some shovel-ready projects that are out there that may not have sold their capacity yet, but it's a different model than what we were pursuing.
All right, well, yes, thank you, and thank Mike for the work that he did. You're right, it is very sad, and a lot of work, as you said, a lot of talented people put a lot of work into this. So unfortunately, our recommended action tonight, and I will regretfully ask if somebody would make a motion to approve the termination agreement with CL Route 58BLL as presented.
I can't do it, so.
So,
So regrettably seconded.
I thank you for that. Would all those in favor please say aye?
I,
Regrettably, aye.
Regrettably, aye. I think we all agree. Any opposed to the termination agreement, same sign. Then the motion carries unanimously. Thank you. New business. Our next item tonight is Resolution R-26-7, an amendment to the College Township Water Authority Articles of Incorporation. This is also an action item tonight, and Adam is going to give us the background on the resolution.
Thank you very much. This is something that the council has some familiarity with, we had done something very similar for the College Township IDA a number of years ago. At that time, I think there were at least a few members of council that were maybe on planning commission when this had occurred, but this is something that somewhat regularly occurs. The primary impetus here is that last evening, the College Township Water Authority identified and selected and took action to approve an additional financing of about just over $5 million. The primary reason for that financing has to do with the completion of the infrastructure improvements to the Oak Hall Park well and the corresponding transmission main. The issue at hand, though, is that was a 25-year loan, and that begs the question, the authority needs to be around for the entirety of that financing period, given the fact that the authority was originally established in 1996. The 50 years is going to be a little bit short of the overall financing term, and thus the necessity to ask that the Articles of Incorporation be amended to grant an extension of life to the College Township Water Authority. And again, this is being primarily driven by the financing mechanisms that are going to be employed. The governing entity for these actions is the Municipalities Authorities Act of 1945, and they have a very prescribed process which necessitates that the Water Authority, in this case, take action, adopt a resolution which is very, very similar to the one that you have here in your packet tonight. And because College Township Council created the Water Authority, the same resolution, in essence, in support of the extension of the life, the amendment to the Articles of Incorporation, needs also to be approved by the College Township Council. Once, and assuming...
Gretchen, do you have any questions?
I do
or
not.
comments? Staff, any questions or comments? Any questions or comments from members of the public? Okay, seeing none, I would accept a motion. The proposed motion does not include the proclamation, so
The Water Authorities?
Yeah, and that can be done as one motion, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that would, the motion would also need to include approval of the resolution. If anyone would like to make that motion.
I'll take a stab at it. I move to approve the amendment to the College Township Water Authority Articles of Incorporation to extend the life of the authority for 50 years until March 15th, 2075, and furthermore authorize the Township Secretary to promptly advertise this change and notify the Pennsylvania Department of State of this action, and to adopt proclamation.
Resolution.
Say that again?
Resolution R-26.
That. To adopt that resolution.
You got that, Katie? Okay. All right.
Second.
Okay. Would all those in favor of the motion as stated, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you for making that motion.
My pleasure.
And we're
That was
moving-
less regrettable.
That was far less regrettable. In fact, that's exciting. That's good news. That's future.
good news.
Future forward. Okay.
Good news.
Next item up for business, we have NB2, a Spring Creek Watershed Commission letter on the Rockview property. I know that we have Mr. Murphy, who is the College Township alternate to the Spring Creek Watershed Commission here tonight. We have Gretchen Brandt, who is our representative on the Spring Creek Water Commission, and Mr. Abbey, you're here this evening as well, so there'll be comments. I'll ask Adam if you would give us the background.
Yeah, I'll lead you into this. I think that primarily this is intended to be a conversation with council. Back on February 25th, I received some communication from Mr. Abbey regarding a proposed potential letter that the Spring Creek Watershed Commission was contemplating signing, making some statements making some requests of consideration, if you will, to the governor relative to the utilization and the use of the Rockview lands. And in the context of the letter, essentially was noting the various environmental considerations, efforts, programs, importance of the Rockview lands relative to those particular types of uses. And so as in response, I had provided some feedback to Kevin on the letter. And I suggested to him at that time that I thought it was a little premature. And the issue really, which is an issue that we have had previous in various discussions with different board members for different entities, is the council appoints the board members to the Spring Creek Watershed Commission. And the question was asked whether or not there had been any effort that was made to solicit any comments from the individual municipalities that the representatives that were appointed could take back and inform the Spring Creek Watershed Commission. And the other item that I noted is, in my opinion, I thought the letter would be more effective and impactful if it went to our representatives as opposed to going to the governor. Because I know that Representative Takak, as well as Representative Benninghoff and Senator Dush, will be very much involved. They'll play a central role in ultimately whatever the disposition of lands may be at Rockview. So as a result of that, we basically, believe it was discussed at a Spring Creek Watershed Commission, either an executive session or a regular meeting. And I believe that the intent was to bring that back to some of the individual municipalities for those kinds of comments. So that's kind of the lead-in here. Council has been provided electronically with a draft of a letter. But beyond that, I don't have any other materials to make available to you. And I think that, the reading of the letter makes it clear what the concerns are of the group that is putting the letter together. But I think at this point in time, it's an appropriate point for council to provide any kind of feedback for the members of the Spring Creek Watershed Commission.
Okay, thank you. So as I understand it, as we move forward for discussion, our purpose tonight is to gather consensus opinion from council to guide Ms. Brandt in her work and role as representative of the township to the Spring Creek Watershed Commission. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And in order to go forward with that, I would like to ask now if Ms. Brandt would like to make comments.
I'd rather wait.
Okay, that's fine. Mr. Murphy, do you have any comments as our alternate? If you do, please come to the podium.
No.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments, Mr. Abbey?
Sure, if I might. Thank you. Kevin Abbey, I'm the Vice Chair and the Treasurer of the Watershed Commission, and I represent Ferguson Township as their alternate rep to the Commission. Just a little bit of context prior to the subject of the letter. As you know, I'm sure, the discussion about the closure of Rockview as a Department of Corrections penitentiary has been going on for well over a year. And during that time, in the beginning, the focus was very much on the impact on the community, the economy, the employees, the inmates, from a decision like that. And it was also merged with consideration of closing the Kahana boot camp facility. And given that the Watershed Commission, our focus is Spring Creek, we were very attentive and very involved and worked hand in hand with Paul Takak, a former chair of the Watershed Commission and a member of your council, worked with him and other elected officials at the county level, state level, to be aware and stay current with those discussions. And we did that in the background, okay? We didn't really have any active role to play. It was our job to stay engaged, listen, and contemplate what the future might bring. When the decision was confirmed that the facility would close, a number of conservation partners got together and started talking about what potential future land uses and ownership of the Rockview property, what that could mean, and what might happen. As you know, depending on your GIS or traditional deeds, the amount of acreage that is Rockview property is anywhere from a high of 5,700 acres down to, I think Shane has looked at all the GPS coordinates and double-checked things. He's closer to 43?
49.
49, excuse me. So either way, we're talking about a huge property with zoning that is primarily agriculture and forestry. And the majority of the acreage is in Menor Township, a good portion in College. The things that the Watershed Commission, over its 30-year history, it will be 30 years next year, have looked at, nearly all come into play with a decision about the future land use at Rockview. So with that context, a number of organizations started to meet. Clearwater Conservancy was very active. Mount Nittany Conservancy was very active. The Watershed Commission was asked to participate, and we did. We had meetings with, I encourage that the Chamber, CBICC be involved. As Adam knows, we had meetings in the summertime or early fall about what, particularly in light of what the Chamber had learned from its strategic planning that it had just completed, what should we do? And I want to thank Adam and the Township for being good partners of this group. And one thing led to another, and it was felt that when all of the employees had been relocated and the prisoners had been transferred, the facility was essentially shut down, and then the Department of Corrections announced our operations there are over. This group of conservation-minded folks started to look at the development of an outreach, a conversation starter with the governor, and that's where this letter came from. I want to make sure that it's understood, this is not a Spring Creek Watershed Commission authored letter, all right?
Thank you.
What we were considering was, should we be a signatory to this letter? And the executive committee of the Watershed Commission looked at it, talked to the folks that were developing the letter and their timetable for sending it, and the executive committee recommended that we call a special meeting of the Watershed Commission to review the action to be a signatory. And I shared that, as we always do, with the appointees to the commission and to member offices. Okay, so that's where, as Adam mentioned, he would have received it in late February. With the concerns that Adam had, as well as with another administrative manager in Patton Township, Amy Farkas, the executive committee went to that meeting, or prepared to go to that meeting, and said, we should take this seriously. And so we made the decision before the meeting started that we would not push at that special meeting to take action to be a signatory. And we had a lot of exchanges with folks at the watershed special meeting, and it was agreed that we would follow Adam and Amy's suggestion and go and review and discuss with member municipalities, and that's underway right now. Okay, we've been to 3 municipalities so far. Benner, that was earlier in the month, I think the 2nd. Monday of this week, we were in Bellefonte. Tuesday night, I was in Ferguson. We talked about it more last night. Gretchen probably got her ears full at the Watershed Commission meeting about this letter, and now I'm here with you. The last thing I would say before we have discussion about it was the kind of organizations that were involved in developing this letter are conservation-oriented and historically motivated. The list of signees includes Clearwater Conservation, Mount Nittany Conservation, the Lamont Village Association, the Center County Historical Society. I'll probably forget some in my listing, but the Center County chapter of the Pennsylvania Senior Environmental Corps, okay? Spring Creek chapter of Trout Unlimited. The Center County Ag Land Trust was quite involved. Farm Bureau, okay, came forward and decided that it wanted to sign. We were approached by the Susquehanna River Basin Commission, and they're studying whether or not this was something that they should speak up on. So it's, I think that gives you a feel for the conservation-oriented, long historical stability organizations that were involved in this. And the last thing that I would say is that with our decision not to sign, and we stepped away from that letter, it went out Tuesday to the governor, okay? And we were not a signatory, okay? So with that, I think we have context, and yeah.
So, just a moment. So just to clarify, at this time, originally, my understanding was we were being asked to provide comments in terms of support for Spring Creek Water Commission's being a signatory on this letter that has now gone out without that signature, correct? Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so at this time, the comments that council would provide would be to inform further action on the part of Spring Creek Watershed Committee? I just want to clarify that so we can direct our comments and questions.
Well, the Watershed Commission is not asking municipalities to approve or disapprove.
Right.
And Adam's letter asked that we come and discuss and review and discuss.
Okay.
I think behind this is a sentiment that how much liberty or how much independence does the Watershed Commission have on matters like this? Is that fair, Adam?
Sure, I think it is. I think that that has been a subject of some question periodically over the years with the Spring Creek Watershed Commission. and also with other like type of commissions. You know, to what extent, in fact, we even have some of those same kinds of conversations within the COG as well, in terms of individual COG committees taking a position without the approval of the broader general forum to do so. So this is, my comments were essentially rooted in that history and that experience that I know that members of council have experienced.
So I think, if I'm understanding this correctly, the goal of tonight's discussion, as previously brought forward in the agenda, has changed a little bit. So what we're looking at is actually a more broader discussion of council's understanding of the independence of the Spring Creek Watershed Commission in terms of our participation as a municipality. Am I understanding that?
Well, I think it's one of two things.
Okay.
Either this is a moot conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
And we can go home very early.
Right.
Or we can have a broader conversation involving those particular points.
Right.
Or other points, or even conceptual points or opinions. We've not, as a council, we have not talked about Rockview in any formal capacity here during a regular meeting. And as such, I mean, it may be some opportunity to begin to initiate that conversation. I think the chair has broad latitude here of how you'd like to take the conversation.
Yeah, so I think this conversation could go in, the discussion could go in several different directions. And I don't know that we have the parameters to have a productive discussion at this time. So I think that this is an important topic. It's been brought forward, and I expect with the Rockview land being sold and considerations being made for the Rockview land, this may become more of an issue in the future, and that it should be clarified. But I don't know that we have enough guidance on the discussion. I will take comments from council at this time to get a sense from council. But my sense would be that we might move this forward as a new agenda item to a future agenda with a more defined discussion of what we would be doing with that discussion.
If I might, I'd like to add just a couple data points here. It was interesting, I caught the year when Adam talked about the Water Authority being created. In the mid-90s, there was a group of international watershed and water quality experts that visited our community to look at what was going on here, and particularly to focus on the Spring Creek. At that time, it was unique in that the county commission, first time in its history, had a female control. 2 of the 3 spots were elected women, Vicki Wedler and Sue Mascola. And they were very involved and liked the idea a lot, and the Watershed Commission grew out of their support in the county planning office and was there for 10 years. So it has its roots in the county. At the end of that 10 years, the county said to the community, if this is something you still want to do, you should create a commission. And the community did. There are 14 municipalities in the watershed. 12 came together, passed an ordinance, and under the Intergovernmental Cooperation Act, created the commission. It's the same law and act that COG is under.
Well, and yes, I think the history is very important. I think pertinent to the discussion tonight is what is the focus of the discussion tonight, and that's still not clear to me. I think what the points you're bringing up are not unimportant at all. I just don't know that that falls within the purview of what we brought forward on our agenda, and I would like to get council's perspective on this as far as the discussion this evening. I propose moving this as a new agenda item for discussion, which is a broader discussion than what we're talking about in terms of the letter. So Rich, I would ask you to provide comments.
Sure. No, I think the suggestion to bring it forward to another agenda makes complete sense. It is interesting to hear the letter already went forward, so again,
Right.
it changes the focus of the discussion.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Had that not occurred, my comments would have been with regard to the timeliness of it, simply because we still don't know how much of that land that General Services is going to deem is going to go away, and where it is important. So I thought that would be a more targeted discussion. But, I mean, the big thing, I will offer that I absolutely appreciate the conservation nature. I mean, long history, all that kind of stuff. Beyond that, they are incredibly well respected throughout the state, not just in the region and everything. So opining in, I think it is. There is a question whether the governor or through our representatives and everything like that, it should all, I assume they were all CC'd, so they all got it. Sure. They all got it. And hopefully they're all rowing in the same direction. But yeah, again, bottom line, I think it's a big topic. My thing with timing would be when that next decision point comes out, that we know how much land, or how much land, where, and all that, to have a more informed.
Gretchen?
Yeah, so pertaining to the issue of whether the commission, can sign such a letter, obviously not this one already got sent. The thoughts that I had on that is that obviously timing matters, because we were not able to be a signatory in order to come and get all, so timing does matter. It is interesting that all of the boards you talk to, and I watched the Ferguson meeting, for example, but they're all just like, yeah, what Rich said, we totally agree, conservation, and that's what the letter, was about. So the comparison to COG and things that have gone on in COG with authorities, I think that is apples and oranges, comparing apples and oranges, because that always involved money, whereas this does not involve money. And at least my experience on the Parks Authority was that was really the main difference there. And so there was this had nothing to do with that. So I guess, and I'm 105 here, but in my opinion, that letter, could have gone out. I don't see that any of the boards are going to have a problem with all of the things that basically Rich summed up really quickly. I mean, everybody felt that way. Some of the Ferguson Board of Supervisors were like, why are we even, what's the problem? I mean, they were confused. So I don't think that that's an issue. The other thing I wanted to say is that, because I had the same questions you did, Susan, yesterday, and I was asking Kevin, I'm like, is this moot? What are we doing? Same exact thought process you had. In terms of the actual what's going on in terms of sending it to the governor or sending it to reps, which that's good, it got sent out to everybody. But I actually stopped by Paul Takak's office today to ask, what should be happening here? And a couple things I can share. This is at the very beginning of the process, and so we have not missed out on anything yet. So that's good to know. It's also good to know that since it hasn't really started yet, we can definitely participate and help frame how this path forward will continue. And the reason why that's particularly important for College Township is because of the, I guess, between 4,900 and 5,700, depending on who you ask, 1,300 is in College Township, is the research that I've done, which is about 25 to 30%, but, which is obviously not as much as Benner, but that area that's in college is most directly, obviously, touches upon adjacent to State College. And that area is going to be more desirable for development than the farmland out towards Benner. And so I think that it's good for us as a council to start at least thinking about this right now. And I also wanted to ask Paul Takak's office, well, how does this actually get decided? And because I had heard two different things. I had heard the governor decides, and I had heard that the state legislature decides. And so what I was told is that the governor decides, but with also the cooperation of the state legislature, and before the Commonwealth can sell major state-owned land, including a closed prison, it must obtain legislative approval either through a surplus property disposition plan or a specific law passed by the General Assembly. And when this will be discussed, where this will be discussed, is in the Pennsylvania House State Government Committee, and the chair of that is Carol Hill Evans, so hopefully the letter went out to her as well, because that's a name that I hadn't heard anybody say, but she's actually chair of that committee. And then Chris Dush, obviously, and I know the letter went out to him on the Senate side. So that's, those are the movers and the shakers, but one other thing, just I don't want to take up too much time, but that I learned that I thought was really helpful is that, and Kevin, you referred to the zoning, and what I was told by Paul Takak's office is that at the municipal level, which is us, that the state will not go against what the local zoning is. And so if the zoning is taken care of at the beginning of any decision-making that will pertain to what eventually will happen on that property where Rockview sits, the local entity has quite a lot of clout over how that will unfold. So obviously, yes, future agenda item, but because I had this information, I wanted to share it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Eric?
Yeah, unless it's cell towers or data centers, right?
There you go, yes.
So, no, I agree, future agenda item. And I agree with everything that Rich said and everything that Gretchen said, with one addition and one difference. The difference would be, slight difference, philosophical difference. I have full faith and trust in our state, in our watershed commission appointees. So I found if we would have had, I would not have encouraged or supported the encouragement of having them go out to all these municipalities and talk about it. I think they would come to us, we'd give you feedback, and if the executive committee had decided to sign the letter, that's what we appoint, our reps to do. And that's just me, philosophically, I like that approach. We're trying to empower our COG committee members to do that, instead of, having to circle back and have that discussion again. And then I would offer that, this happened about 20 years ago. The state divested themselves of a large chunk of property, Spring Creek Canyon, and we established a very broad and deliberate approach that lasted many years. But you know what? It ended up pretty darn good. When you think about where the state was headed with it initially, and whose hands the canyon ended up in, so just food for thought as we discuss this. There's an example, or what would you call it? Precedent. I mean, it took years.
Sure, it did.
It took years, but it was worth it.
But it was motivated, Eric, by the fact that people were concerned.
Yes.
Once the state made that decision, what DGS might do with the land. And as you know and have referenced, zoning ordinances can change, and property owners potential that have a land under contract pending rezoning can put a lot of leverage on municipalities to consider rezoning. And I think, Lindsay, you and I, Don worked together in Benner, and you're familiar with the fact that when we went to Benner, the first municipality, they loved the letter. They said, absolutely send this letter, because this makes a statement, starts the conversation. We've heard nothing. We don't know what's going on. It's a very uncomfortable position to be in. And so
Yeah, and I think those will be important points for us to bring up when we bring this back as a new agenda item.
I have nothing else to offer, but I would ask that the things that you learned from Paul take at office, if you can make those available to us so that we can take those in consideration when we need to discuss this further. Those are good points to remember.
Sure, I can write something up and share it.
No,
Could I ask that we potentially use blueprint versus precedent?
We'd like to mince words, we can. No, thank you. Thank you for coming and for giving us your perspective. And we will move this to a new agenda item. We will incorporate the comments and the issues that you brought forward. And I think it'll be a much broader conversation. And because we do have a substantial amount of land that falls in the township, we're in the process of rezoning the Dale Summit area with form-based code, and so there may be other opportunities. So I think it'll be a very important conversation to have, and I appreciate that you brought it forward. Sorry that it's a moot point now that the letter has gone out, but it got the conversation going, Kevin, so thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right, then, I don't know that we need an action item for that. The consensus is we'll move that to a new agenda item, so keep your eyes on our agendas, Kevin.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that conversation. And then our last item tonight is staff informatives. Council staff, other matters, anything from members of staff?
I had something. The food bank is hosting a business after hours. I think we might have all got pinged on that. I don't know if we want to send out an email and anybody, it's April 16th. For any of us who might be interested in attending, the food bank, State College Food Bank.
Just similar note, I attended the one at the Penn Stater, also in College Township, so
Yeah.
they've done a lot of nice stuff.
And that's why I bring it up. These are
Yeah.
businesses in our local municipality, so heads up, you may see them.
Okay. I don't think we have anything else then. I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, we're done.
Second. Good job.